Hi guys, it's Vicky and I'm back today with another Kandi tutorial. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a multi-stitch Kandi cuff. Even though cuffs can be pretty big, they're actually pretty simple to make. All you're going to need for this tutorial is going to be some beads, again whatever color that you would like to use. You're going to need some scissors and some very stretchy string so that it's easy to put the cuff on over your hand. So to measure out the string you're going to need to make a multi-stitch cuff, I would use a pretty big piece. I usually use a fathom, so I'll take one end of the string in one hand and the spool in the other hand and just stretch out my arms. And then I'll just cut that. And then I have a pretty long piece of string that I can use to make my cuff. Okay, so the first step that you're going to do to make your multi-stitch cuff is you're going to place a bunch of beads onto the bracelet to make a single, but you're going to want to make sure that you have an even number of beads or the multi-stitch will not work. Now it depends on the size of your wrist, how many beads you want to place on. I usually do about 34 for mine. If you have a bit bigger of a wrist, you might use 36 or 38. You can also make them pretty big so that they can slide up onto your forearm or your upper arm if you want to wear them there. So once you have all of the beads that you're going to place onto your cuff for the first row, you're just going to slide the beads onto one end of the string so that you'll have a really short tail and a really long tail to work with, and then you will just go ahead and tie it off in a regular square knot about, I would say, 3 or 4 times. Alright, so once your single is complete and you have your short tail and your long tail sticking out, as you can see mine are sticking out between 2 beads, you're going to take your tail, your long tail, you're going to take it and string it through one of the beads that are right next to it. I'm not working with a pattern, so it doesn't matter if I go this way or this way. So I'm going to string my long tail through this purple bead right next to where the strings are coming out of. You're going to string a bead. This bead is going to sit right on top of this blue bead. So I'm going to put on a blue bead because I want just to have a straight up and down rainbow. So this bead that I've just strung on is going to sit right on top of the bead next to the one that my string is coming out of. And then what I'm going to do is take my string and I'm going to string it through this green bead here. So it's coming out of the purple bead. We're going to skip this blue bead and we're going to put it through this green bead. So now that bead that I've strung on is sitting right on top of another bead. And then now I'm going to do the same thing here. My string is coming out of this green bead and there's a yellow bead next to it. So I'm going to string on a yellow bead. And then I'll put my string through the bead on my single that's right next to the yellow. So for me that's going to be an orange bead. Now I have 2 little beads popping up on my single. And now we're just going to do that same process all the way around the single. As you're going around the bracelet, you can pull on your tail to tighten the beads so that they will kind of stand up like that. They'll stand up more as you add more rows to the bracelet. Okay guys, we've made it all the way around the bracelet now. I just have one more bead to place on for this row. So I'm going to skip this pink bead since I'm going to be placing a bead on top of it. And then I'm going to string through this purple bead that is right next to it. And then I'm also going to string my string through this bead that's popping up right here. And that's how I'm going to get to the next row. And then I'm also going to put my string through the next bead that's popping out. can kind of tighten your bracelet by pulling your long tail. So now you can move on to putting beads onto your third row. So what you're going to do is just place beads in these little spaces between the beads that are popping up and string your string through each bead that's popping up. So I'm going to place on a green bead to fill this space right here, and then I'm going to string my string through the next bead that's popping out, and for me that's a yellow one. So I'll string the bead through there. And then I have my green bead sitting pretty in that little space. And I'm going to do the same thing on the next one. I'm going to place an orange bead to go on this space and then string my string through the pink bead. And then you can do this all the way around your cuff. This is where your multi-stitch cuff should start to stand up. If it's not standing up, you can tug on this long tail, or you can tug on the beads that are sticking out to kind of tighten it. Just don't pull too hard. You don't want it to be so tight it won't stretch, but you do want that nice standing up look. Now, I'm going to show you how to get to the next row one more time in case you didn't get it. I'll put an annotation to skip this step if you feel like you already have a handle on it. Put on the bead to fill the space you're currently on. String your string through the next bead, just like you would on any of the others. And then you're going to string your long tail through the next bead that's popping out. And that's how you get to the next row that you're going to start working on. And then I'm going to place a bead to fill the space and string my string through the next bead that's popping out. And you're just going to do this all the way around. Keep going with the rows as long as you want. The next step I'm going to show you guys is how to add string after I make my cuff a little bit bigger. Okay guys, and I have cut my long tail off just so that I can show you guys how to add string to the project if you run out. You want to add string when you have about this much left or more so that you can easily tie more on. So what you're going to do is you're going to take however much more string you want to add to the short tail. You're going to put them up next to each other so that the ends are in the same place. And then you're going to tie this. You're going to pretend that you're tying up the bottom of a balloon when you tie this. So you're going to make a loop and then put the two ends through that loop. Like that. And then pull that really tight. Now I'm also going to take the two ends like this, and I'm going to tie these into 2 square knots just to make sure that it's extra secure. And that is a really important skill to know because you're going to be needing to do that on pretty much any big project that you make, like a big cuff or a mask or a bikini top. So then what you're going to do is you're going to pull on it and just snip off those little tails because you don't need those. And then you're just going to try to hide this big knot inside of a bead as you're going along. Okay, so I think that's about as big as I want to make my cuff for this tutorial. Once you get to your last row, you're going to put on your last bead and string your string through the next 2 beads. Just like any other row would go. Your string's coming out of here. You're going to put your string underneath the string that's connecting this bead and this bead. That's so then you should have a loop in one hand and a long piece of string in the other hand, and then you can tie those into a square knot to finish off the bracelet. You can do that 2 or 3 times. This knot's going to be kind of big, so You're going to want to hide it inside of the bead so it's not so obvious. I'm going to go ahead and cut the tails off pretty short, and then I'm also going to go back and cut off that little tail that we made in the beginning. So now we have our completed multi-stitch Kandi cuff. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching my Kandi tutorial on multi-stitch cuffs. You can show me the bracelets you make on Instagram or Facebook at Vicky's Kandi Shop. There will be links in the description below. You can subscribe for more Kandi tutorials, and you can comment below if you have questions or if you have suggestions of things you'd like me to teach you how to make. And until next time, peace, love, unity, and respect.